right, greetings and welcome to Drama in the Dirt's Meet the Digger. This week we have Michael TROECKLER, and the O is silent in that name. So I wonder what nationality that is, Michael. You might tell us that. Michael is going to be sharing with us quite a few things. Michael is the administrator of Midwest Relic Recoveries. And then we'll be sharing an article that he had published in a White's magazine. So he has quite an impressive time in his years metal detecting. So I'm very excited to share with you about Michael a lot of interesting things. Michael sent a little personal bio, which I'll be sharing, and then we'll get into the article. And then we'll see some of the goodies. So Michael, again, thank you for being Digger of the Week on Drama in the Dirt. And I trust that God bless you and keep you and your loved ones. And may all your digs make you smile. All right, Michael sent a little bit of personal information about himself. He says, I'm 41. He grew up in Illinois, born and raised. I have 3 kids and married. I was a union roofer for 20 years out of St. Louis, Missouri. I remember those days, Michael. I did a lot of roofing myself. Then he talks about his metal detectors. He says, I'm currently using the MX Sport, XLT, MineLab 705, and XPORX. Now, of course, I'm not a White's guy, so I'm not real familiar with those, but I did. Let me scroll here. Did take some pictures, and that's the MX Sport. That is a beautiful machine. And then here is the 705 MineLab. You know what? There was a lady at a house one day, and I talked to her, and it was probably an older version of this, but it had the little football coil on it. And I tried to operate it for her, and believe it or not, I was able to find a wheat cent in her front yard with it. And then here's the XPORX. So that's a dais. So Michael, thanks for sharing that piece with us. It's nice to get to know a little bit about you and the machines that you're using. Michael is also a field rep for MGC Laboratory. They produce aftermarket coils for all types of detectors. We have the larger coils, search coils for Garrett and MineLab, Fisher, Macro, and then White's. And so Michael, we wish you well on that endeavor, and we appreciate you sharing that with us. That is absolutely super. Michael was so very fortunate to have an article published in Discover magazine. It's a White's publication. And you notice the top headliner, Detecting the Midwest. And then on the left, under that logo, that yellow logo, he writes, Mines to Artifacts. Growing up in southern Illinois, I was always fascinated with digging things up. Living in the town of Edwardsville, we were 2 blocks from the old mine. Living in the town of Edwardsville, we were 2 blocks from the old mine shaft. My friend and I would always go down to the mine and dig coal and other relics, mostly train-related items, bottles, etc. When I got in my teens, I started artifact hunting. The creeks and fields of Illinois at the time were littered with arrowheads. We were not far from the Cuyahoga Mounds, so they were plentiful in our region. So one thing leads to another, right? Well, it sure does in my case of artifact and treasure hunting. And then again in the left column, artifacts to treasure. After years of artifact hunting, a friend of mine bought a metal detector from a yard sale. I asked him, "What the heck is that thing?" He told me it was a metal detector. And of course, the first thing I wanted to know was if it worked, and all he said is, "It better." So off we go in his yard with this squawking black box with 2 knobs and a needle. We did not find a thing, just a bunch of chirps and scratches. That expedition ended quickly. Later on, in my mid-30s, I decided to get back into the game, and I bought my first brand new metal detector. I read the book and searched around the yard till I figured it out enough to take it out in the real world. I went to local parks, found some change, and I was excited thinking that this might pan out. Then I decided to ask a farmer near my dad about detecting his field. I thought for sure with the Indian artifacts we'd find out in the fields there has to be coins. The farmer gave me permission but told me that I probably would not find much. So I headed out in the field and started swinging. Not long into my journey, I had a coin signal 6 inches down. At that time, I did not have a pinpointer and did not even know what one was. I dug and dug, swinging handfuls of dirt under the coil. Then, bam! My first silver coin, and it was an 1852 O-seated half dime. I about had a heart attack. I called my wife, yelling for her to look this up and find out how much it was worth. It was then that I knew I was hooked. We've all been there. And then he writes in the left there, Treasure to Treasure Pro. So a few years go by finding stuff here and there while doing tons of research on metal detectors. Reading review after review, I knew I needed to upgrade and needed a deeper detector with a VDI and more. After reading countless reviews, I found it, the detector I needed to succeed in my journey forward. The White's Treasure Pro. It had everything I needed. All the specs fit my terrain here in the Midwest fields, parks, you name it, and the reviews were great on the machine, all the way to the top-notch customer service. Now I am set. My detector came in the mail, and I watched countless videos and clips on how to use it. I was off to find treasure, and treasure I found. Countless coins, tokens, silver, and gold. That detector made me feel unstoppable, and I was. What a great statement. Then there you see on the left the silver half dime that he recovered, and then on the right a 3-ringer there on the screen of his machine. So we'll move on to page 2. That's a very exciting introduction there. And of course you see his logo there on the right, and then you see the old Kemp coal mining company. He writes, every weekend I was out hunting, then that turned into every day. Well, we all know that feeling. I bought the White Spectrum XLT, and my gosh man, the machine changed my life. You see on the left there, Michael found a couple seated, dime and a quarter looks like, and then in the right part of that picture is a real. So congrats on that. And then he writes, I started finding old coal mines in my area and trading posts. Then the finds kept getting bigger and better, with more relics. I knew then White's was a detector of choice. There was no going back, only forward. From the lush farm fields to the rocky creeks of Illinois and the mighty Mississippi, there are countless acres of land to comb. The Spanish and American Indians roamed this area before it became a state in the year of 1818. You will find many treasures, artifacts, and relics throughout the Midwest. It's all out there. All you need is the passion for the hobby and a whites detector. I created Midwest Relic Recovery on Facebook. I created Midwest Relic Recovery for people on Facebook who share this hobby to show their finds and share their experiences. Hunt it again. MX Sport. This year I rang in the new year with the MX Sport. My first impression is that it is a very powerful machine and very sensitive. I found getting to know this machine was a little tricky, but most features from the Treasure Pro carried over to the Sport. Once I got the MX Sport, I decided to go back to my old permissions and check them again. And I'm glad that I did. In no time I was pulling out treasures I had missed with the other detectors. The MX Sport is the detector in a league of its own. Its deep, powerful weapon of mass detection. Great statement. And then you'll see the picture there at the bottom. Gosh, looks like a lot of coins, flatware, of course your iron pieces. I see a axe head there. Just amazing, Michael. I did a little zoom in on this. This is a miner's badge or medal. Did you have your dinner? Did you eat your dinner, Daisy? Huh? You kid? Oh, daddy baby. Daddy baby girl. All right, greetings and welcome to Drama in the Dirt's Nickelbuck's. Oh, wrong show. What show am I doing? Yeah, Meet the Digger. I suppose I'll shoot this over again. Our guest this week is Mike TROECKLER. Is Michael TROECKLER. Greetings and welcome to Drama in the Dirt's Meet the Digger. This week we have Michael TROECKLER. TROECKLER. Oh, sorry, Michael.